Okay, we're starting in 1.7 today that is found in your book on page 41. I have some vocabulary words that I need you to make sure you get written down. It's not often that I ask you to copy word for word, but today's vocabulary words, which I'm about to highlight here, absolutely need to be copied. Domain and range. Okay, the domain is the X value, also called the input, and the independent variable. Range is the Y value, the output, and the dependent variable. A word we're going to be using a lot today, but you don't have to write it down, is called function. It's the relationship between the domain and range, a pairing of inputs and outputs, so that each input is paired with exactly one output. So another thing I want to be sure is on your paper is this sentence. If the X value repeats, it is not a function. I'm going to say that again. If the X value repeats, it is not a function. So I have two tables here for us to look at and focus on. So if you take a look, we're looking at the inputs. Our inputs, our domain or our X value are 7, 11, 21, and 35. None of those repeat, so it is a function. If we move to this table and look at our X variable, our input, our range, we have 0.7, 0.67, 0.75, and 0.75. The X value 0.75 repeats, so it is not a function. So I'm going to say it one more time. If the X value repeats, it is not a function. If the X value repeats, it is not a function. So our goal today is to represent functions as rules and tables. Tomorrow we'll bring in graphing, but today we're going to focus on writing rules. Rules are another word for equations, and making tables. This example goes along with example 1 in your book on page 41. It says identify the domain and range of the function. Identify the domain and the range. So again, our domain is our X value. So our domain in this case would be 0, 1, 2, and 4. Our range is our output or our Y value. So our range, and we always write it in order, and we don't have to list if it repeats. So it's 1, 2, and 5. Moving to the next page, example 2. Again, we're on page 42. Tell whether the pairing is a function. To determine if it's a function, look at the input. Look at that X variable. If it does not repeat, it is a function. 3, 6, 9, and 12. Nothing repeated. It's a function. Example 3, our input, 2, 2, 4, and 7. I heard a repeat in there. If it repeats, it is not a function. Example 3 and 4 on page 42, we have a rule, y equals 3x, and we have our domain. So what we're going to do, we're going to make a table. I like the tables that go like this because your paper already has the blue lines that make each entry easy to read. Our domain or our X value is 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. We substitute these values into this equation to get our range or our Y value. So 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 7 is 21, 3 times 9 is 27. The rest of it, don't forget all the directions identify the range. We're going to write the word range, use a colon, and we're going to list 3, 9, 15, 21, and 27. Example 3 and 4 is on page 42 and 43. It says make a table for the function y equals x minus 5 with a domain of 10, 12, 15, 18, and 29. Once again, we're going to encourage you to use your tables like this and use the blue lines that are already on your paper. It says my domain or my x is 10, 12, 15, 18, and 29. My rule for my function was y equals x minus 5. So I put x value 10 in for x. 10 minus 5 would be 5. 12 minus 5 would be 7. 15 minus 5 would be 10. 18 minus 5 would be 13. And 29 minus 5 would be 24. Remembering to go back and read all the directions, it also asked me to identify the range. So I need to write the word range with my colon and list 5, 7, 10, 13, and 24. Write a rule for the function, identify the domain and the range. So what are we doing to x to get to y? So we would have something like this. What am I doing to x to get to y? Well, I could add 7, but that doesn't work on the rest of them. Maybe multiplying by 8, so let's check it. 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24, and 8 times 4 is 32. So that looks like the rule, y equals 8x. My domain, I write the word domain with my colon and I list 1, 2, 3, and 4. Range, my y value or my output with my colon, 8, 16, 24, and 32. So for a wrap up, I gave you a rule with a fraction in it. We're all panicking when we see the fractions. And if you just take the time to work it out, you'll realize they really are not any more difficult than the other problems. Our rule is y equals 2/3 times x plus 1. We have 0, 3, 6, and 9. 0 times 2/3 would be 0 plus 1 would be 1. Okay, for those of you who seem to forget how to work with fractions, we have 2/3 times 3 over 1. That gives us 6 over 3, which gives us 2. 2 plus 1 is going to give us a value of 3. So let's work with 6. So we have 2 over 3 times 6 over 1. 12 over 3, which is 4. 4 plus 1 is going to give us a value of 5. Now at this point, some people are starting to see a pattern, but if you don't see that pattern, let's do math one more time here. 2/3 times 9 over 1, 18 over 3, 6, and 6 plus 1 would give us 7. So identifying the range, we're going to write the word range. And we're going to list those numbers, 1, 3, 5, and 7. So looks like we've mastered hopefully today's objective, which is representing functions as rules and tables.